Hey YouTubers, I hope you're enjoying the content. Before we get to today's video, I want everyone to go hit that bell over by the subscriber button so you're notified every single time I upload. Enjoy the video. Hey YouTubers, that's MJ. I'm Mark. We're going to be talking to you guys today about who is the better character in all of Dragon Ball when you're looking at Vegeta and Gohan. And I think there are points to be made about both of them, but just to kind of keep this a little bit more entertaining, we're going to take sides, and I'm going to be talking about Gohan, MJ's going to be talking about Vegeta, and just because I'm a little tired right now, he is going to be able to start first and tell you guys why he thinks Vegeta is the best character in Dragon Ball. Take it away.
Now, if you're a fan of me and my channel, then you would know Vegeta really isn't like my favorite character, but that doesn't stop me from thinking back and just saying, damn, this dude's had a lot of development. You know, he's been on one hell of a ride since he first showed up in the Saiyan arc, you know what I mean? Now, obviously, I just mentioned it, development. Now, I'm just going to go out of my way just to pretty much put this into your perspective. There are a lot of characters that get development. You know, Ten Shinhan, Piccolo, Gohan, which you'll be talking about in a little bit. Just think about this for a second. When we're introduced to Vegeta in the Saiyan arc, think about when they mentioned the 3 hours, right? They're going to wait 3 hours for Goku or for Kakarot. And I saw this on Twitter, and it just made me think, wow. Like, I had no idea. Like, I just couldn't even comprehend it. So Vegeta states, let's wait 3 hours because that damn traitor deserves to see us kill his family and friends before his eyes. And then only then will he then start to beg us to send him to hell. You know? And then go to Dragon Ball Super, and he's at an amusement park with Trunks. It's like, that is some fucking development, dude. It's like, this dude went from, like, torturing a father and son and family before like the other family's eyes to where then he would kill the family, all the way up to where he's literally eating ice cream in an amusement park with Trunks and his wife Bulma. That is really, really, really crazy. That is some huge development, especially for that character. Now, like I mentioned before, Vegeta's not my favorite character, but he at one point was, I guess, like the shining piece of like the shiny piece of diamond or rock or whatever in the Namek arc for me. And don't get me wrong, I love that Namek arc, but he really was like the best part of that arc for me. And the reason why is because he was literally a character on a mission, and he was trying to get everything done in the Namek arc. And at the same time, we were seeing his character evolve during that arc. When he shows up, you know, he eliminates Queen, he eliminates Dodoria with ease. We're talking like he destroys them instantly. You know, he goes through his Zenkai, stuff like that. But during this arc, we get little shiny moments where he'll save Gohan. He'll do stuff like that. And if you guys have been watching Dragon Ball Super recently, the way Frieza acted in 94 to 95 kind of reminds me of what Vegeta acted like in the Namek arc. Vegeta, you know, at the same time, he was, you know, petting Gohan on the head with that rape face. But at the same time, what did he do prior to that? He just wiped out an entire village mercifully. You know what I mean? So he was still kind of towing the line of being like a bad guy to a good guy. And then, of course, what happened afterwards, you know, after his Frieza fight where he just breaks down in tears and tells Goku everything. And I just feel like that part of the arc and that like character moment really made Vegeta stand out as being one of the top characters in Dragon Ball. You know what I mean? At least in my opinion. I mean, that I'll start off with that. I don't know what you got to say about Gohan though.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand where you're coming from with that, but I think Gohan is in a league all on his own when it comes to basically every single character that we've ever been introduced to in this entire series. And one of the things that makes him so drastically unique, not only to the show itself, but to the genre. Because when we look at protagonist level characters in shonen mangas or animes, you have people like Goku, like Naruto, Luffy, even Ichigo. Although Ichigo would probably be one of the lesser, kind of more akin to Gohan than the other ones, but at the same time, you have these guys who are very strong-headed, fight-oriented, and you know, with the idea that they want to get stronger or have at least be in an environment where there are things challenging them. Yusuke is also a very good example to that. Gohan isn't that, and I think that that is something really unique to almost anything that we've ever seen throughout all of anime. The fact that there are so many people out there who think that Gohan should be the protagonist. Gohan should be this new limit breaker who takes over and everything, like everything basically for the series, is because I think a lot of people really relate to someone like Gohan. I mean, he wasn't like Goku in the beginning of Dragon Ball, where it's just a kid running around, fishing, living on his own, going up against the world with a smile on his face. When we first meet Gohan, he's petrified of everything. Not just Raditz or Vegeta or Nappa or Piccolo even, or living on his own. He's playing around with the turtle, and he doesn't necessarily like the turtle, or even in the filler part of the anime, the saber-toothed tiger that Goku was kicking around at the beginning.
So basically, what you're saying, he was a little bitch. I'm just kidding.
The point is that, at least at the time that I think a lot of people, at least in the West, started watching the show, was incredibly relatable. I mean, this kid who's kind of fragile, who doesn't necessarily know anything about the greater world beyond what's in his own home or what he's learning at school or something like that, being thrown into this world of adulthood and has to basically learn how to live with it. But at the same time, something we could have looked up to, someone who, even though everything was beyond him, his age, his power, just his maturity as a whole, he stepped to it, and he kept up with all of the other people. It's something that I think a lot of people aspired to be and actually wanted to be Gohan. That's why he is really a huge part of everyone's favorite character, or just this series in general. And then we get into Super, and Super's just kind of pile drive that point home, where he did get what he wanted. A lot of people want him to be a fighter. He wanted to be a scholar. It was like the first thing he said to Bulma. And that was outside of Chi-Chi's influence, honestly. And, no matter what you want to think about it, that was what he actually wanted to do with his life. He actually ended up doing with his life. He got a legitimate, kind of high school love interest situation, more akin to anything that we were accustomed to, at least back in the day. When I was younger, it was more realistic than Goku ending up with Chi-Chi at the end of the tournament, or even Vegeta ending up with Bulma after so long. The whole, this is my high school sweetheart I'm going to grow up and marry and have a kid with, and yada yada yada, makes a whole lot of sense. And then him even going up against Frieza, and now where he is in Dragon Ball Super is just so awesome too, because they basically put him back on that same path and made him kind of reshape himself. But instead of actually being too afraid to basically stand up to someone this time, it's just he forgot the mass amount of potential that he drastically has. And before anyone sits there and goes, well, that's why Gohan sucks in Super, because he's basically reliving all of this stuff that he's done throughout most of Dragon Ball Z. Too afraid, stands up, actually probably makes a difference in this tournament arc like he did in Dragon Ball Z. Vegeta's doing the same thing. At the end of the Buu fight, he renounced his desire to surpass Goku, and then basically just kind of walk that idea back in this super, and is starting to really wanting to be better than Goku and fight alongside Goku, be better than Beerus and everyone else again. So
that's one of the reasons why Nathan hates the Kanzenban ending, because in the Kanzenban ending of the original manga, the 42 volumes of the manga, Vegeta at the very end, at the end of Z, he says something about how he will surpass Goku. So it's like, it just kind of throws the entire Buu arc. Because even before Super started, this is way back, even before Super was a thing, the Kanzenban ending already kind of threw the Buu arc out of the way. Because it was kind of just like Vegeta had went back to that. After all these years, Vegeta still went back to kind of wanting like to surpass Goku or something. I can't remember exactly what it says. I just know that's why Nathan fucking hates the concept. Do me a favor. Whoever's listening to this video, go tweet at Nathan Frozen Particle about the concept on it. Just do that. But, no, I completely understand where you're coming from, but I just want to point this out. You're talking about, like, how you can relate to Gohan. That's fine. A lot of people can. Y'all can also relate to Vegeta, because Vegeta is basically the American dream, You come to America, you work hard, you get what you want. In this case, he worked hard, he became a Super Saiyan and beyond. You know what I mean? It's like, this guy, don't get me wrong, I understand that at some point he kind of, because even in the Namek arc, he didn't really say Goku was the better man, but he accepted that Goku was going to be the one to defeat Frieza. So he accepted Goku as being like that one in a million that would achieve the Super Saiyan form, or at least he thought he already achieved it, and he was going to be the one to overthrow Frieza, and that's why he asked him to do it. What ticked him off was when he sees Trunks do the same transformation. He's like, hold up. Okay, if this kid can do it, then so can I. You know what I mean? That's what he thought. And the idea that, okay, he had to kind of let it slide that Goku was a Super Saiyan. You know, like, okay, he's better than me, fuck it. Then Trunks shows up, but this is before he finds out Trunks is his son. He's like, okay, this is ridiculous. You know what I mean? I gotta somehow achieve this level of power. It's not impossible because now there are 2 Super Saiyans. I can become the third. The development that he had to swallow there, because like I said, it's one thing to swallow the fact that Goku was superior to him or a low-class Saiyan. It's the idea that now this legendary Super Saiyan transformation, you know, back then it was legendary. This legendary transformation, I can achieve it, you know, even though I'm weaker than both those guys right now. I need to train. I need to work hard. I need to put in the time. I want to achieve this level. Of course, he did it, and he's been doing that ever since. You know, he worked hard to achieve Super Saiyan 2 during the 7-year gap, at least I'm assuming. I don't know, maybe he got like a tingly feeling in his back or something when when Bulma was stroking that thing. So maybe that's how he did it. Who knows? Then he moved on to Dragon Ball Super, right? And I always remember this line. I don't think this specific line is in the movie, in the ROF movie. I think it may be hinted at it, but there's a specific scene in the arc, and I really do love this part of the arc, is when Vegeta's transforming. And like it zooms into Roshi, right? This like panning thing, and Roshi's like, "What? He's a god too." And then it pans to Goku's face, and Goku's like smirking, and he's like, "And he did it all on his own." You know what I mean? That was a very cool scene. It may have been in the movie. I just don't think it was like directed in that way. And the arc, I really love the way it was directed and shot, and I really think that like kind of painted the picture of Vegeta is that he constantly works hard and he constantly achieves his level of power. Don't get me wrong. I understand Goku works hard as well. But you gotta admit, sometimes Goku just kind of gets the Goku some kind of just gets the better end of the stick. I mean, Vegeta let that bald little dude put a hole through him, and he still couldn't become a Super Saiyan, you know. And Goku sees Piccolo and Krillin take the the nail, and he becomes a Super Saiyan, you know. And then of course the Super Saiyan God. So it's just like, again, I think Goku does get the better end of the stick, but that's just the main character plot power type of thing. I do appreciate Vegeta's character is the fact that he works hard and he gets to certain levels. Don't get me wrong, I do understand that Super kind of, I guess, push back the idea that, he's, I guess, put Goku on this pedestal that he's better than him. I'm just not that pissed off at it, just due to the fact that, like I mentioned, it was already in the Kanzenban ending. And then on top of that, I mean, it's not like he's racing to fight Goku, you know what I mean? Like, before, in the Buu arc, he was wanting to, like, cut Goku's throat and shit. Here, he doesn't really care about that. In fact, I do love the moments that he does have with Bulma and them. I especially love that now in Super, he does get particularly pissed off whenever you mess with his family. Because I can remember a certain situation back in the Android arc where he basically almost let them die in a plane. He didn't even jump in to save them, you know what I mean? So, and which is really fucked up. Think about that, a baby was in the plane. He didn't want to jump in there to save him. But I do appreciate his, what he was from the Saiyan arc to what he is now. You know what I mean? Like a family man who works hard. Like I said, he's living the American dream.
I think I can understand where you're coming from with that. Vegeta is definitely an interesting character, and he is undoubtedly. I mean, I think other than probably Piccolo, just how far I've come, just kind of starting on one side and switching. And I admit that that's not something that Gohan ever had to deal with. I mean, Gohan was, for the most part, he was basically just in his own world. He started off kind of in a comforted, sheltered life and was just basically thrown into shit show after shit show after shit show. It's the whole history of Trunks thing from Team 4-Star. It's like, how was life when you were young? It was like, well, my uncle kidnapped me, killed my dad, Mr. Piccolo kidnapped me. Like, it's like, so it was better? No.
Well, I know I'm supposed to be on Vegeta's side here, but I just want to say this about Gohan. There is something special about when you go through so much shit. And, this shit is some smelly shit. When you go through so much shit, and he still stays true to your roots, you know what I mean? Kind of being what he always wanted to be, like a scholar, I guess. I know people try to push it on and say Chi-Chi was the one who made him that, but I mean, you know, going by how things were presented in the movies, the movie continuity, how things were presented like in the manga, the books around him, the books in the ship on the way to Namek, so and so, you know, like the filler scenes with him training in the android arc and the cell arc, he's kind of just always stayed to the roots, and now he's a grown man with a family and he's a scholar, you know, he has a job now, so I think there's something special about that, you know.
Yeah, and you know, when you look at it that way, one of the things I've always liked about Gohan is not just him being unique to the genre as a whole, like I said earlier, or like exactly what you just said, whether he's just kind of true to his own character, the same way that a lot of these characters in Dragon Ball are just true to themselves. And it's one of the best things about this show is they can grow up, they can mature, they can do all this other stuff, but at the end of the day, that's still Goku. That's kind of still Vegeta. That's still Gohan. That's still Piccolo. You know, those are still the people that we met the very first time we met them. And I think that that's unique, and one of the reasons why these characters, regardless of what you think of them, are always so interesting and cool. But when it comes to Gohan, I think kind of like an undertone. And I think one of the things that makes a really good character, like I said at the beginning, is something that we can relate to as an audience. And I really think that Gohan is more so than Vegeta, more so than Goku, or anybody that we met in the entire series, is incredibly relatable, at least to young men in the West, but probably in Japan as well. So, you know, you have this person who is brought up to have like immense power, or, you know, immense potential, let's say, potential in who they are. And from the moment you're basically a child, you're being told this, you're special in some way because you're the son of whoever, or, you know, yada yada yada, in that situation. So you're special. You just need to you need to realize what makes that happen, that power come out, and do it. You know, bring it out. But it comes out with emotion, so it's hard to for him to unlock that stuff. He's not willing to let himself open up in that way, the same way that other people might. And I think that there's a lot of stuff for young men who grew up with this show, either right now or back when we were younger, that is relatable there, where, you know, as a young man, you can't necessarily open up. You're taught not only by maybe even your parents, but your peer group and just societies as a whole, you're not allowed to emote, and nothing ever good comes from emoting, and all this other stuff. Bottle it up, kind of be a man, you know, suck it up, all this other stuff. And with Gohan, you see this character that literally achieves his current goal, or the goal of beating his obstacle, not by suppressing his emotions, but by literally letting them out. And I think that there's a lot of powerful imagery there when it comes to trying to teach people a lesson of being true to themselves and not being afraid of actually showing your emotion. At the same time, the idea that the idea that you are special because you're a man and all this other stuff could be taken so many different ways, and I won't really go in on that. But I thought the emotion stuff is actually something I've always really kind of appreciated about Gohan's character.
Okay, I see your point on that. I can agree with that. But again, that kind of goes with just, I think, not every character, but some characters to a degree. It's just the idea that sooner or later they reach their goals, or at least they're working their way to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I will admit that Gohan's, besides what Super has done very recently with Gohan, unfortunately, by the end of Dragon Ball Z, Gohan had legitimately reached his goal. And Super has been backpedaling that goal for a long time. Now, that's not to say that Vegeta didn't as well. I think Vegeta is definitely being backpedaled, but at the same time, I feel like Vegeta's goal is and almost as always was just as broad as Goku's, and willing and able to be brought back and extended further beyond and continue that path for as long as they saw fit. So he has a lot more lifespan, like more tank, or more gas in the tank for his character development and arcs, while Gohan seemingly is having almost the exact same character arc that he had in Z throughout Dragon Ball Super right now.
Well, see, this is a bit off topic, but with Gohan and Vegeta being the topic of this video, one of the reasons why I think that there will be a time skip after this Tournament of Power arc is just due to the fact that I think it's time for like the newer generation, like with Toyotaro kind of bringing up the idea of reaching the end of Z, you bringing up that Gohan kind of reaches his goal at the end of Z. You know, he's a full-on family man. He already is a family man, but you get my point. Like, he's most likely, you know, steady, has an occupation. You know, him and Videl are good at their point in time. Pan's getting older, Bola's getting older. I kind of expect this arc to be like Gohan, Vegeta, probably, you know, Tien, 17, everyone's last hoorah. You know what I mean? The one last big arc where they can go in and have an epic battle. And if you know, the Super does take the route of the newer generation with Goku training them, I can kind of see like Gohan and Vegeta taking that back step. Like, I'm sure Vegeta will still be around. He's a very popular character, but I feel like he'll take more of the role of like Piccolo, where he's just around, and then when they need him for like, you know, a major villain, that's what they'll bring him up. The same with Piccolo, like what Piccolo's role is now, where he's around, but he's like in every freaking episode, you know? I can kind of see that being like, I feel like this tournament is going to be like their last hoorah, and we're gearing up for what's happening at the end of Z. And I feel like by end of Z, Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, majority of characters have reached their goals, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Goku's character, and one of the best things about the ending of Z is the fact that Goku will never end. He will always keep pushing, and at the end, like I said, like, yeah, Gohan kind of retires. Vegeta at that point is kind of retired too, from doing what he was doing at the beginning and everything like that. So there's a lot to be said about that. Apparently he can apparently they could potentially do that time skip and just kind of recast the entire show, shake it all up. It's been on for about 2, almost 3 years now, so it would make sense for them to basically shake it up.
It makes sense. I mean, when you look at the stakes of this arc, when you look who's involved, all the strong fighters, this could be the last hoorah for, you know, Gohan and Vegeta, you know what I mean? And we're gearing up for like what their goals are at the end of Z, you know?
But anyway, guys, I think we're done here unless you have any last thoughts.
I love collaborating with you, man. You're my bro.
Well, with that, guys, we're going to end it. Please make sure to go check out MJ. His link will be in the description section below. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to hit that bell over by the subscriber button for more notifications for whenever I upload awesome Dragon Ball content, or Saw content, or movie content, box office, any other stuff that I do on this channel. And we're going to catch y'all in the next video.